As time went on, the relationship between Jamal and Gizelle began to show signs of wear. The closeness they once shared began to fade into a distant memory. At first, it was subtle: late nights at work, an increasing emotional disconnection, and moments where their hearts seemed to be on different frequencies. Jamal's growing responsibilities as a pastor, coupled with the pressures of maintaining a public image, began to take its toll. The expectations of his congregation, his commitment to his career, and the constant need to perform had created a growing distance between him and his wife. It was as if, over time, they were living separate lives under the same roof. But what was even more difficult for Jamal to admit was the deeper emotional void he was feeling. He had so many people depending on him: his congregation, his family, his followers. But who was there for him when he needed support? As much as he tried to bury it, there was an emptiness inside that couldn't be ignored. His emotional needs were unmet, and the loneliness he felt became harder to ignore. For years, Jamal kept these struggles to himself, believing that he could handle it all. But as the distance between him and Gizelle grew, so did the internal conflict that he kept hidden away. Jamal's confession about his infidelity came as a shock to many, but it was a truth he had been struggling with for far too long. He admitted, "I was struggling with a part of myself, something that even I didn't fully understand." The affair was not just a moment of weakness. It was a result of years of unresolved pain and emotional neglect. The pressures of balancing a demanding career with his personal life took a toll on his mental and emotional well-being. Jamal found himself seeking validation and intimacy elsewhere, trying to fill a void that no amount of success or recognition could ever satisfy. The decision to cheat, in Jamal's eyes, was a reflection of his own personal failings. It wasn't about a lack of love for Gizelle. It was about the parts of himself he had ignored for far too long. His actions were a manifestation of his deep-seated struggles with self-worth, guilt, and a desperate need for affirmation. As Jamal came to terms with what he had done, he was forced to confront the painful reality that his choices had shattered the trust he had once built with his wife. Internally, Jamal was torn apart. The guilt and shame from his infidelity weighed heavily on his conscience. As a man of faith, he struggled to reconcile his actions with his deeply held beliefs. How could he, as a pastor, preach about love, loyalty, and faithfulness when he had betrayed the very vows he made to his wife? The emotional turmoil he experienced was profound. He wrestled with his actions, constantly questioning himself, his choices, and the man he had become. The shame was overwhelming, but it also sparked a journey of self-reflection. He realized that the key to healing was not just apologizing for his actions, but understanding the root causes of his behavior, something that he had neglected to address for years. As news of Jamal's infidelity spread, the public's reaction was swift and intense. Fans who had once admired him as a leader, a role model, and a faithful husband now felt betrayed and confused. The scandal cast a shadow over Jamal and Gizelle's once idyllic image. Their supporters, who had seen them as the perfect couple, were left questioning everything they thought they knew about them. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was public, and it affected more than just their marriage. Many of Jamal and Gizelle's followers demanded accountability, with calls for transparency and an explanation for why such a respected pastor would make such a grave mistake. The backlash was overwhelming, and Jamal could feel the weight of the public's judgment. His actions had caused ripples that stretched far beyond his personal life. They had shaken the trust of an entire community that had looked up to him. There's a story, a deeper layer that most of us never get to see. In the case of Pastor Jamal Bryant, that story is one of love, betrayal, and redemption. On the surface, his life may seem like a fairy tale: his successful career as a pastor, his loving marriage to Gizelle, and their picture-perfect family. But what if the truth behind their relationship is far more complicated than anyone imagined? What if the reality of their journey wasn't as flawless as it appeared? Recently, Jamal Bryant dropped a bombshell about his past, a revelation that shocked many. He confessed the reasons behind his infidelity during his marriage to Gizelle, despite their seemingly perfect life together. For years, fans admired them as the power couple of the church and beyond. But the truth Jamal shared about why he cheated was not just about a lapse in judgment. It was about something deeper, a struggle within himself that he hadn't fully understood until now. But the surprises don't end there. Jamal didn't stop at addressing his past mistakes. He also tackled the criticism surrounding his new marriage, a union that has drawn attention for one striking reason. His new wife bears a strong resemblance to Gizelle. This has raised eyebrows, sparking rumors and questions about his true intentions. But what if there's more to this story than meets the eye? This isn't just a story about infidelity or a high-profile marriage gone wrong. This is a journey of self-reflection, personal growth, and the scars we carry from past mistakes. Jamal's confession opens up a complex narrative about what happens when we face our flaws and the impact it has on those around us. So let's dive into the untold truth behind Pastor Jamal Bryant's journey, why he made the choices he did, how it changed him, and why he's still struggling to move past certain obstacles. Jamal and Gizelle Bryant were once the epitome of a power couple, adored by their followers, admired by their peers, and respected in both the church and social media circles. Together, they seemed to have it all. As a renowned pastor, Jamal was a figure of influence, guiding his congregation with a strong voice that resonated with many. Meanwhile, Gizelle, with her grace and poise, became a public figure in her own right, admired for her beauty and intelligence. Their lives appeared to be perfectly synchronized, with both of them building empires while supporting one another at every turn. The image of their relationship was nothing short of captivating. They were always seen together, at church events, charity galas, and on social media, where they often shared glimpses into their life as a couple. Their fans were enamored by the way they balanced their personal and professional lives, often citing them as the perfect example of love, respect, and mutual support. Their smiles were contagious, and their connection seemed unbreakable. The Bryants seemed to prove that love, ambition, and faith could exist harmoniously, but the public's perception wasn't the full story. Behind the scenes, the couple faced challenges that no one could see. The cracks that began to form in their relationship were subtle at first, small moments of tension, miscommunications, and differences that neither of them fully addressed. Jamal, burdened by the pressures of leading a church while maintaining a public image, felt the weight of expectations pulling him in multiple directions. Gizelle, though supportive, started to feel the strain of living up to the flawless persona they had both created for themselves. What the world admired from the outside was often an illusion, an image meticulously crafted for public consumption, but one that didn't fully capture the complexities of their relationship. Their connection, once seen as perfect, began to unravel as they struggled with the silent pressures of their lives. While they were admired by the public for their unity, the underlying struggles in their marriage were beginning to take a toll. What appeared to be a flawless partnership was, in reality, much more complicated. Both Jamal and Gizelle, despite their shared success and image, were silently fighting battles within their relationship that didn't end with the cheating scandal. Soon after, Jamal's new marriage to a woman who many felt resembled Gizelle only added fuel to the fire. The public couldn't help but wonder, was this a simple coincidence, or was there something more behind the union? Fans, both supportive and critical, began to comment on the striking similarities between Jamal's new wife and his ex-wife, Gizelle. The comparisons were impossible to ignore, and for some, it felt like Jamal was trying to replace the woman he had left behind. The public scrutiny intensified, with many questioning his motives and sincerity. Was this a genuine new beginning, or was he simply trying to recreate the past? The resemblance between his new wife and Gizelle seemed almost too perfect, leading to further doubts about his true intentions. It wasn't just about the affair anymore, it was about Jamal's decisions after the fact and the way the world was interpreting them. Faced with this intense backlash, Jamal knew he had to address the criticism head-on. In an emotional response, he opened up about his actions, acknowledging both the mistakes he had made and the pain he had caused. "I know I've made mistakes," he said, his voice heavy with sincerity, "but I'm learning. I'm still growing." In that moment, Jamal reflected on the person he was becoming. He recognized that while his past choices were painful, they were also part of his journey, one that was still ongoing. He wasn't perfect, but he was trying to move forward with honesty and self-awareness. Jamal defended his new relationship, explaining that it wasn't about replacing anyone, but about finding a path toward healing and understanding. "I'm not trying to erase my past. I'm simply trying to build a future that reflects who I am today, not who I was." His words, though filled with remorse, also carried a message of growth. The road to redemption wasn't easy, and he was still facing the consequences of his past actions. But Jamal was determined to show that, despite the mistakes, he was committed to becoming a better version of himself. Even though Jamal made efforts to publicly redeem himself, the truth is that he continues to grapple with unresolved issues from his past. The emotional scars of his infidelity, aren't something that can be erased with apologies or public declarations of growth. Despite his outward confidence and determination to move forward, there are moments when Jamal is forced to confront the weight of his actions. The guilt of betraying his wife and the pain of disappointing his followers still haunt him, even as he tries to put the pieces of his life back together. He may have apologized and sought redemption publicly, but on a deeper, more personal level, the journey toward healing is much more complex. Jamal is constantly wrestling with the lingering effects of his past mistakes, trying to reconcile his public image with the inner turmoil he feels. The emotional wounds from his infidelity are not easy to heal, and at times, they remind him of the man he never wanted to become. One of the greatest struggles Jamal faces is understanding why he cheated in the first place. He knows he was emotionally disconnected, but what drove him to seek validation outside of his marriage? There are moments of reflection where Jamal questions whether his need for attention and admiration came from the constant pressure of being the perfect pastor. In the public eye, he was supposed to be an example of unwavering faith, strength, and stability. Yet underneath that facade, he was a man with personal shortcomings, insecurities, and unmet emotional needs. The pressures of maintaining an impeccable public persona weighed heavily on him, especially in a world where the expectations for pastors and leaders are often unrealistically high. He feels the weight of always being expected to be perfect, never showing vulnerability, and always standing as a beacon of unwavering faith. This intense pressure, coupled with his internal battles, contributed to his emotional disconnect, which ultimately led to his poor decisions. Despite the emotional weight he carries, Jamal recognizes his flaws and acknowledges the need for personal growth. In one of his candid moments, he expressed, "There's a part of me that's still healing, and maybe I'll never fully be fixed, but I'm working on it, day by day." These words reflect the honest struggle he faces in trying to become a better man. Jamal understands that healing isn't an overnight process. It's a journey, and it requires constant effort. He has taken steps toward self-improvement, seeking help through counseling and personal reflection. He knows that he can't change the past, but he's committed to making progress in the present. Whether through therapy, spiritual guidance, or self-reflection, Jamal is slowly learning to understand himself to reflect on his past. It becomes clear that his journey isn't just about redemption in the eyes of the public, it's about a commitment to truly understand himself and learn from his mistakes. He may not have all the answers, and he may never fully heal from the scars left by his past actions, but Jamal is determined to strive for authenticity in both his personal life and his role as a pastor. His commitment to growth is unwavering. It's about more than simply repairing his marriage or reclaiming his public image. It's about becoming a better, more self-aware person. For Jamal, this journey is about peeling back the layers of his own insecurities, confronting the areas of his life that need change, and seeking to live with greater integrity and humility. While he acknowledges that the road ahead will be challenging, Jamal's dedication to evolving and learning from his past mistakes is the foundation of his journey forward. In this pursuit of growth, Jamal's relationship with his children also plays a crucial role. As a father, he feels the weight of his past decisions even more deeply. He knows that his actions have affected more than just his relationship with his ex-wife and followers. They've impacted his children as well. His son, especially, has been a source of inspiration for Jamal's desire to be a better man. As a father, Jamal wants to be someone his children can look up to, someone who demonstrates that growth is possible even after making significant mistakes. While Jamal doesn't claim to be a perfect father, he understands that his journey to redemption is also about being a better role model for his children. He works to show them that healing and self-awareness are processes that take time, but they are worth the effort. His relationship with his son and his desire to be the kind of father who leads by example is a driving force behind his commitment to personal growth and healing. As the story of Jamal Bryant's life unfolds, it becomes clear that his path is one of continual growth, self-awareness, and redemption. His past mistakes do not define him, but they are part of the story that is helping to shape who he is becoming. Jamal's journey is about learning to live with greater authenticity and vulnerability, not only for himself, but for those around him. His story is a testament to the fact that redemption is a journey, not a destination. Jamal knows that his future is still uncertain and that healing is not a linear process. But with each step he takes, he is moving closer to the man he wants to be. As he continues on this path, one thing is certain: Jamal Bryant is learning, growing, and striving to live a life of greater peace and self-understanding. And while only time will tell if he finds the true peace he seeks, his story is one of hope for anyone who has ever faced the consequences of their actions and chosen to grow from them. As Jamal looks forward, it's clear that his journey is not about achieving perfection, but about continuously striving to understand himself better and learning from his past mistakes. He may not have all the answers or a complete blueprint for redemption, but one thing is certain: he is committed to personal growth. In both his personal life and his role as a pastor, Jamal is working to be authentic, to confront the aspects of himself that need healing, and to learn from the lessons that life has thrown his way. His public persona may have been tarnished by his past mistakes, but Jamal's true pursuit now is inner peace and self-awareness. He's not chasing perfection, but instead, he's chasing a more honest, reflective version of himself, one who can acknowledge his flaws, take responsibility for his actions, and make conscious efforts to do better. This commitment to understanding who he is and how he can improve isn't just for himself. It's also for those who look up to him, his family, his congregation, and his followers. Jamal's journey of redemption is not just personal. It also intersects with his role as a father. His relationship with his children, particularly his son, has become an important part of his path to healing. Jamal recognizes that his actions have had an impact on his family, and he feels a deep sense of responsibility to show his children that growth and change are possible, no matter the mistakes made in the past. His son, in particular, has become a symbol of what Jamal is working towards, a future where he can be a better role model, a better father, and a better man. As Jamal continues his journey, he is more aware than ever of the lessons he wants to impart to his children, not just in words, but through his actions. He understands that his healing process is not only for him, it is also for his family. Being a father means setting an example, and Jamal is committed to showing his children that change is possible, that growth is always within reach, and that it's never too late to make things right. The future